Welcome to It Takes Two Takes. My name is Adam, and joining me today is John. This is one of my friends who is going to be adding his voice to our channel every now and again. And today we're going to talk about a few different comic book news that have come out. Before I go into that, I want to remind you that if you're not currently subscribed to our channel, please subscribe. And we just hit 100, so it's kind of, I know it's not a big milestone compared to a lot of the other YouTube channels, but it's kind of a big deal for us. So if you're not a subscriber, please do like, share, comment, all that fun stuff. You know what to do. But anyway, the first set of news I want to talk about, John, is apparently Kevin Feige said that Deadpool 3, which they haven't written yet, Deadpool 3 is going to be rated R and it's going to be part of the MCU. So what are your thoughts hearing that news?
Well, I mean, obviously it's kind of an odd mix because you'd expect the Deadpool movies to be rated R, but mixing that in with how the MCU's been handled in the past, I feel like it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays together, which characters cross over, and I don't know. I mean, how do you feel about it?
Well, I got some mixed feelings. One, I'm happy it's going to be rated R because if they tried the PG-13, I watched the PG-13 of Deadpool 2, and the only good part I can really say about that compared to the rated R version is I love the Princess Bride interaction between Fred Savage and Deadpool. Right, that was fantastic.
Once upon a Deadpool, right?
Yeah,
I did. I want to Damon.
You want to what?
I want to him and I want him to me. And then if I'm doing a good job, I want all my friends and family to come watch me.
Tell me more about that.
other than that, cutting out all the blood and censoring, I was not a big fan of because I really do love just kind of the how uninhibited Deadpool is. So I'm glad it's going to stay rated R. I'm not sure about putting it in the MCU because Deadpool was kind of making fun of all the different stuff, so it wasn't necessarily trying to do like the Colossus that we saw in Deadpool wasn't the same Colossus that we saw in the X-Men movies. It was one of those things where it was kind of nice that it was separated, and I worry about whether or not tying it into the MCU is going to hamper some of the jokes that might have been made. That's the only thing I worry about.
So
I
have
don't
they opened things up between Fox and it's all combined together now, I guess, as part of Disney. So we're gonna start seeing what X-Men all together, Fantastic Four, everything
yeah,
as
they've
part of MCU.
they've already announced that they're definitely doing a Fantastic Four movie. They haven't announced casting to the best of my knowledge, but Fantastic Four has definitely been announced that they're doing that, and that will be part of the MCU. There's been talks that they're going to start sprinkling in other X-Men type characters into the MCU. They haven't necessarily announced a full-blown X-Men movie, so what we may end up seeing, like, I could see them throwing Rogue into a Captain Marvel movie because anyone who's watched the 90s X-Men cartoon remembers Rogue being really strong and flying. Well, that's because she got those abilities from Captain Marvel. And I could see them throwing a Rogue in there and ultimately giving her those powers through a Captain Marvel movie. And then we see her with those powers in a future X-Men movie. So, there's definitely ways they could sprinkle some of these characters in. I'm sure Wolverine will be one of the first characters they find a way of bringing into the MCU in some way. I feel kind of sorry for whatever actor gets cast as that because
Yeah,
there's some big shoes to
we're
fill.
talking a different Wolverine, right?
Right. It would be a completely different actor.
You is completely done.
Right. So I don't know. It could be that they sprinkle some of these characters into the next Deadpool movie. That could be one of the ways they do it because ultimately Deadpool is a mutant. Now, he was one that was geared towards bringing out the mutant gene, but he absolutely could be that Deadpool 3 could absolutely be one of the ways that they sprinkle in a few X-Men or introduce a few X-Men characters. Whether it be the ones we already know, um, like Colossus or someone else, it ultimately is a way they could bring in some of these characters. Again, I just worry about putting him as part of the MCU because I worry that they're going to think, okay, now let's throw the Deadpool into one of the MCU movies.
He doesn't feel like he would fit.
No, because he'd have to be a little bit tamer than he is in his own movies. And I
Yeah,
think
you
that would
could.
kind of stand
They're
out.
not gonna. They're not gonna R rate the full MCU movies. And if he's in there and it's PG-13, it's not going to be the same.
Yeah, there's not going to be any masturbation jokes. There's not going to be any cocaine jokes. You know, the blood is going to be gone. The cab driver kidnapping love rivals and, you know, putting them in their trunk, probably not going to be okay for a PG-13 MCU movie. I just feel like they could hamstring him by trying to integrating him into the MCU. I think it'd be better to keep him kind of separated, but that's just my opinion.
I feel like he has to be standalone in his own thing, but if you're bringing in characters from the main MCU franchises, then that could be interesting, could be fun.
Well, you know, and they made jokes in the other ones when he talks about, you know, they talk about Professor X, you know, he makes a joke about which one.
Let us go talk to the professor.
McAvoy or Stewart? These timelines are so confusing.
Because the two different actors, they make fun of Josh Brolin.
McAvoy.
Yeah, in the second movie, there's a Thanos joke made at Josh Brolin because he's playing Cable, and he's also Thanos. You know, there's all sorts of things that just was great by them keeping it separate before that. I just, like I said, I worry about them bringing it into the MCU.
In the meantime, you might want to leave the room. I bet it feels huge in this hand. Go, 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 go.
Second bit of comic book movie news that is apparently Chris Evans is in talk to return as Captain America. He had said he retired the character or was done doing the character after, the latest Endgame, and here we are with him now in talks. I don't know if they're dangling a whole lot of money. I don't know if it's going to be a small role or a big role. I don't know if it makes sense to bring him back. I'm guessing they've got a reason.
How would it fit into? I feel like his character's pretty much gone through the whole loop of World War II to the present, and then finishing up going back in time to be with Agent Carter, right? And then
Right.
Old man again. I mean, unless they go back to what 50s, 60s when he's with Agent Carter and what was going on then. I don't see where they're going to fit him in, but
Yeah, and I wonder, it could be complete misdirection, right? It could be that they're talking to him about it, and ultimately what he ends up in is some recorded videos that get shown on some screens or something like that. Like, remember the one Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man Homecoming movie? There was a video of him, like talking to students, like almost like a public service announcement type video. It could be something.
Got detention, right?
So, you got detention. You screwed up.
Right. So it could be something as simple as that. Or maybe they've got something in the works that's going to involve time and he's going to show up in the past, in some way. They've got a whole timeline that he wasn't, he got a life. But we don't know that he stuck to just that life during that whole time. So, we don't really know the details on it. If it makes sense, fine. I'm just hoping they're not doing it just to do it because, they figure it will help them get money or get attention. I'm just hoping whatever reason they're doing it makes sense. And I'm hoping the only reason he's doing it is because it makes sense, not just because they waved a briefcase full of money at him. Though a briefcase full of money is not a bad reason to do it.
Well, and I wonder if they're talking about it from a film perspective or some of the other projects they have planned for Disney Plus with the different shows. If he would just be cameo appearances on the different shows. They have so much different content they're pumping out right now. That's a good point. It could be for a Disney Plus project, a small thing. It might not be for one of the movies. I have no idea. They got WandaVision coming out, tomorrow or Friday or whenever I upload this. WandaVision's out this weekend, and it very much could be. I would have thought that would have been perfect, right? Because some of the previews I see for it are very like 50s and 60s sitcom. I almost feel like you could have thrown a Captain America into like some sort of like type of a scene in that, but I have no idea what they're going to use him for. But I hope this isn't a trend where they try and get all the people who said I'm done to all basically come back.
You
I
know,
think they're gonna try and get as many familiar faces as they can to put in all the different stuff that they're putting out there right now. I feel like with the different shows and new directions for the movie franchises, they're going to try and get whatever they can to attract some of the core audience and familiar faces, and we'll have to see what happens, I guess.
it's interesting that they want to bring him back. I'm just hoping it's for a good reason. I trust the MCU because for the most part they've done well. So if Kevin Feige has got a reason to want to bring him back, I'm going to right now give them the benefit of the doubt it's for a good reason.
And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing.
Now, the group I don't give the benefit of the doubt to is DC most of the time because I haven't been overly impressed with a lot of their movies. And another bit of movie news that we got was that apparently in the Snyder Justice League miniseries, Martian Manhunter is going to show up. And he's ultimately going to be, if anyone who watched the Man of Steel movie, the first movie of the DCU or EU, the kind of military man that that Superman kept interacting with, that's going to be Martian Manhunter. The actor did not know at the time he was going to be Martian Manhunter. This is something that they approached when they were going to do Justice League, and he apparently had a scheduling conflict, so they never shot him initially when Snyder shot Justice League. So he was actually part of the reshoots to put him in there. So I guess originally the Snyder version of Justice League was not going to have Martian Manhunter due to scheduling conflicts, and now it is. It kind of goes back to this idea for me that this is not the Snyder cut. This is not what we were going to originally see in the theaters, because one, it would never have been like a 6 hour or whatever long movie. It would have been 3 hours at the most, and it sounds like with all the reshoots and stuff, he's doing things that he had maybe hoped to do that he wasn't actually going to do if we had gotten the Snyder Cut movie. So
Who all have they brought back to film new footage for this Snyder Cut?
most of the actors, but I think some of it was reshoots and stuff like that. But most of the actors, I think they did end up coming back for a few reshoots. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, well, this was what we would have got. No, it's really not. And I worry about throwing Martian Manhunter in here because a lot of people don't know who Martian Manhunter is, and you've done nothing to set up his backstory at all.
Someone in watching this video or someone on this video didn't know a lot about Martian Manhunter. Can you give us a little summary? 'Cause I'm not really familiar myself.
I mean, I don't want to go into too much detail. I think there's tons of content out there about him, but he is part of the Justice League. He legit should be part of he is part of the Justice League. He has been part of the Justice League for a long time. He absolutely should be in there. He has shown up in the Supergirl TV show. He's shown up in Smallville. He's absolutely been part of other DC projects, live action projects, and he's been part of some of the animated movies and shows and stuff like that. So if you're familiar with other Justice League stuff, you're probably familiar with Martian Manhunter. But the average Joe citizen is not going to be familiar with them. With everything with the DCEU and these movies, they have not done the proper kind of setup. Like Marvel did a bunch of origin movies to set you up before they ever did Avengers. In this universe, we get Man of Steel, then we go directly to like Batman v Superman, and then we go to pretty much Justice League, right? It's just kind of like you didn't, and then we went back and did Wonder Woman and Aquaman origin stories, right? Those were kind of afterthoughts almost, it felt like. So I feel like, granted, I think Wonder Woman did get released before the Joss Whedon Justice League, but they had already set her up in Batman v Superman without any origin story. It's just they seem to love to throw these characters in without origin story. Now, thankfully, most people know who Wonder Woman is, and most people, thanks to various shows and stuff like that, know who the Flash is. Obviously, that's a different Aquaman than most people were probably used to from previous DC properties. But like Martian Manhunter, though, is absolutely one of those things that's not even close to being mainstream. And Cyborg wasn't either, and I feel like they're just not doing these characters proper justice, and they're going to do a Flash movie that's going to have a whole bunch of other things that I worry that they rush too much because they feel like they're behind Marvel.
Now, Cyborg is supposed to be a much bigger part of the Snyder Cut version of Justice League, right? His character was supposed to have a much more significant role, believe it or
Well,
not.
I mean, that's what Schneider says, right? So when you have a whole movie where you're introducing a bunch of characters and you're introducing a big villain and everything like that, you only have so much time, right? When you're talking about a movie like a two, let's say we'll say 2 to 3 hour movie at the most, you only have so much time. And most comic book movies are 2 to 2.5 hours, at the most. Um, so you only have so much time, and then on top of that, you're gonna start doing, so you're limited on how much origin stories you can do in a single film. So I'm not really, I don't blame Joss for not being able to do probably the full backstory that someone would have liked, because he's not getting like a 6 hour miniseries. So I think it's a little unfair. Zach is getting all this time to like double the time to do this than Joss Whedon never had. Now, Joss Whedon's movie was a wreck. It was horrible. I'm not defending that in any way, shape, or form. But at least he wasn't. Zach is not as hamstring on time as what Whedon was. Whedon had to make a movie, a single movie that was good for the movie theater. And Zack Snyder gets to come in, make a deal with HBO Max, and have at least double the time to tell the story that Joss had. So he's got more time to tell a better, more in-depth Cyborg story. So I should hope so. We should have a more in-depth story on Steppenwolf. They're going to have Darkseid in this, So there's a lot of character stuff that's going to happen that they have more time to do than what a single movie, which is what originally it was going to be, would have done. I was not a fan of Man of Steel. I was not a fan of Batman v Superman. So I can't really say I'm overly excited about Snyder Cut. I'm going to watch it, but the trailers didn't make, so far the teasers that they put out so far haven't like made me go, ooh, this is going to be so great. I mean, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but so far I haven't liked the direction that Snyder wanted to do with the DC universe. With the Flash movie, they have the ability to kind of reboot everything, and I'm hoping that's what ends up happening.
Well, it seems like that's what's kind of happening with all the different individual character movies. They're moving away from the Justice League kind of MCU type setup to where they're all kind of going in their own separate directions, right?
Well, yeah,
I mean,
but
I know they said Affleck is going to be in the Flash movie, right? With the
right. Well, they're going to basically do Crisis on Infinite Earths. So they're going to be able to do a bunch of different Earths. So at the end, they could ultimately have Affleck's Batman gone, because once everything gets fixed or whatever, we could have a new Batman at the end of that one that they could go forward with. So we'll have to see how they ultimately go with it. But I worry that they're trying to cram too much into this miniseries, and some of the characters are still going to feel hollow. I mean, ultimately in Snyder's Justice League, even though it's 6 hours, we still got to do backstory on Flash, backstory on Cyborg, Darkseid, Steppenwolf, Martian Manhunter. All of them need backstories that based on Schneider's version have not had backstories. So that's 5 characters to do backstories on within the 6 hour movie while continuing the plot line.
Seems crazy that they would give Snyder all of this free reign to just go and film a crazy amount of footage far beyond like a theatrical release. Just given how some of the other projects have gone that he's been involved in. I mean, they've looked cool. They've had cool visuals, special effects, action sequences. Picks cool music to fit into the movie. But it just seems like they're putting a ton of faith in the guy to put this together. And I don't know if his previous projects really warrant that.
Well, did you like Man of Steel?
I thought it was all right. I mean, I didn't like the opening Krypton sequences with Russell Crowe riding around on a dragon, and it took forever for him to get to Earth and actually become Superman. But I mean, eventually, once it got there, I thought it was fine.
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion we can go into on why I don't like Man of Steel. I might have to save that for something closer to Justice League coming out. I get why HBO is spending all this money on this, right? Most of the footage was already done. And if they can use this to bump their subscription on HBO Max, they got a big subscription boost off of Wonder Woman, and they can get a big subscription boost off of this, along with all the other theatrical movies this year that they're going to put out, not only in theater, but on HBO Max at the same time. By the end of 2021, HBO Max may be one of the top streaming services by the end of 2021 with what they're doing. And it's a big investment, but in the long run, it might pay off for them. So I kind of understand why HBO Max is doing this. And if it's successful for them, I think it will pave the way for a director's version of Suicide Squad, because apparently the Suicide Squad movie that we got was not the version that the director had wanted. So yeah, I think we'll have to see how it goes. Again, I'm worried about throwing Martian Manhunter in there because I'm worried that he's not going to get the backstory that he kind of needs, with so many other characters that they have to do the backstory on.
There's gonna be so much going on. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, and I don't know that they're committed to doing a Martian Manhunter movie by himself. So I just hope they do him justice. He's a great character. He's been part of the Justice League for a long time. He deserves to be in the movie. I just hope they do him well. So I think that's about it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave comments, share the video, hate on me if you don't like my opinion. It's fine. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. Subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time. And this has been It Takes Two Takes.
Hey everyone, Andrew with It Takes Two Takes. We're playing some royalty-free music, so don't even bother Shazamming that one. We got videos over here I think you're gonna enjoy, and there's a button over here I'm gonna enjoy. Let's make this all work together, right? Please subscribe, check out what else we have going on. Thanks for watching.